Let me say this very clearly. We are a Big Ten party. We are a coalition by definition, the Democratic Farmer Labor Party. Our party is made up of farmers and laborers. Our party is made up of progressives, environmentalists, feminists, democratic socialists, gays, lesbians, bisexual, transgender. We come from different places, we come from different spaces. We represent what is best about America. Our differences are our strength. If you want to be in an authoritarian party, go be a Republican.
Meanwhile,
the defendant, Nicole Mitchell, guilty of the charge of burglary in the first degree. As to count 2, we, the jury, find the defendant, Nicole Mitchell, guilty of the charge of possession of burglary or theft tools.
And that is where we begin with the burglary trial of Senator Nicole Mitchell, the jury reaching guilty verdicts on both counts.
Fox 9's Paul Bloom has been following this case very closely. Okay, Paul, walk us through the verdict and how we got there.
Yeah, well, it was a one-week trial there in Detroit Lakes. Of course, the allegations here that Nicole Mitchell, a first-term Democratic senator from Woodbury in the dead of night, April of last year, broke into her stepmom's home, allegedly to steal belongings of her late father, described as mementos, primarily a flannel shirt, perhaps for her boys, as well as photographs. Burglary, in its definition, criminally would mean an intent to steal something. So this jury believed that was her intention. She had argued 5 hours on the witness stand, an intense cross-examination, an emotional 5 hours yesterday, taking the stand in her own defense. She had argued that if she was guilty of anything, it was of having basically too big of a caring heart, that she was so concerned about her stepmother and a deteriorating health condition about a year after her father's passing, meaning the stepmom's husband, that she went up, snuck in there in the dead of night, clad in all black long johns, black sweatshirt, black cap, a flashlight that had been modified with a sock on it. She was caught basically red-handed, is how the state described on that body-worn camera in the basement of her stepmom's home. This jury, again, taking about 3 hours this afternoon after hearing closing arguments today, finding the senator guilty, both counts, burglary as well as possession of burglary tools. Sentencing is obviously at least weeks away at this point, but this senator not only is looking at potentially losing her seat, her political future likely dead now, but also the possibility of spending at least a few months behind bars.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So once again, we got to talk about how Democrats are finding out the hard way that they are not above the law. Remember, they told us for the past 4 years that nobody's above the law as they tried to launch political witch hunts against President Trump. Now, again, Democrats are finding out that that same statement applies to them. In this story, we got to talk about Minnesota State Senator Miss Nicole Mitchell, who was just convicted on felony burglary charges after being caught breaking into her stepmother's home. Now, Mitchell was discovered in the basement, dressed in black, and told officers at the time that she was there to retrieve her late father's items, according to a criminal complaint and police body cam footage. She later denied that her intent was to steal, saying she was attempting to check on her stepmother amid concerns about Alzheimer's and associated paranoia. So basically, in a nutshell, this woman was caught breaking into her stepmother's home with the intent of stealing, dressed in all black, right, with a crowbar and latex gloves, right, looking like somebody that is trying to steal, okay, that's not supposed to be there. But then she says, well, I was just there to check on her, right? I was just there because, I'm concerned about her health, right? But I'm not sure why you would break into the house and dress like somebody trying to steal if that's what your concern is, okay? Clearly, this woman is a criminal, and now she's facing calls to resign because she is trying to avoid taking responsibility and accountability for what she did. Now, this is kind of a big deal in Minnesota, and the reason why is because the fallout over the verdict could upend the balance of power at the state capitol, where Democrats have a 1-seat Senate majority. Yeah, so Democrats have a very slim majority in the state of Minnesota in the Senate, and that is why this woman resigning is a big deal, because if she resigns, then basically Democrats are going to lose power. And that will be a major blow to them in that state. It will be a major blow to Tim Walz and his socialist communist agenda. And that's why this woman needs to go ahead and stop wasting our time and resign. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
No Minnesota state lawmaker has ever been expelled, but that could happen unless Woodbury State Senator Nicole Mitchell resigns first.
The DFLer was found guilty of felony burglary in Detroit Lakes today. Tonight, there's growing pressure from both sides of the political aisle for her to step down.
Callan Gray is following the fallout from today's verdict.
That first-degree burglary charge alone carries a minimum sentence of 6 months in jail or a workhouse and a max of 20 years in prison. Mitchell's attorney says there are arguments that could help her avoid jail time that they will pursue. He was asked if she plans to resign from the Senate. He says he doesn't know. It's not something that he would ask her, and it's a personal decision she has to make.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Nicole Lynn Mitchell, guilty of the charge of burglary in the first degree.
A guilty verdict for State Senator Nicole Mitchell, the Woodbury lawmaker now facing potential prison time and an uncertain political future.
I hope she decides to resign, not only for her constituents, for the Minnesota Senate, but also for herself.
Amber Reichgott-Young is a former DFL Senator and Ethics Subcommittee member.
There is no way to compel her to resign. This is her decision and timing.
There's no way to compel her to resign. If Democrats get on board with forcing her out, then she's going to have to step down. I mean, this should not be a partisan thing. I mean, this woman was found guilty of a felony, and she is a politician, okay? She, while in office, decided to break into her stepmother's home, right? This should not be a debatable thing. Should not be something where Democrats play politics and try to say, well, we don't want her to resign, or we're not going to vote for her to be forced out because we don't want to lose power and control of the Senate. No. You can't play that game, right? Nobody is above the law, according to Democrats, right? Nobody should be above facing accountability. This woman should be in jail, right? She should be in jail for what she did. And she should definitely not be a politician. She should not be a sitting state senator being found guilty of something like this.
Leaders on both sides of the aisle are calling for Mitchell to step down. Senate Majority Leader Aaron Murphy saying in a statement, quote, Senator Mitchell has told colleagues that she intended to resign if she was found guilty of this crime, and I expect her to follow through. Senate Republican Leader Mark Johnson saying, quote, if she is unwilling to resign, she must be expelled as soon as possible.
You have to have a special session or a session of the legislature in order for her to be expelled.
Reichgott-Young says it would be unusual for a special session to be called just for this. So unless there's another reason to call a special session, a vote would likely have to wait until lawmakers return in February 2026.
What? Wait until they return until February 2026. What are they doing between now and February 2026? You're talking about what, like 6, 7, 8 months, right? Like what? This don't sound right. See, this is why I can't stand about politicians, right? I'm assuming, you know, they're working on something, right? In between there, but it's like, listen, here's the thing. The woman was found guilty. If she refuses to step down, then she needs to be expelled. If you have to come back to work in order to do that, what's the big deal, right? What's the big deal about having a special session in order to do the right thing? I don't get it, right? I mean, they try to make it seem like these things are such big obstacles. Oh, we got to have a special session, right? We got to come back to work. And it's like, okay, and I had a special session, right? If it's just about this, then just make it about this. But do what you got to do. This woman should not be allowed to continue to be in office.
Wait until that time. They may not have that seat filled for months, and it's a short legislative session. In fact, there might just be a tied Senate for the entire time.
She says until Mitchell resigns or is expelled, she continues to receive a paycheck. A legislator's salary is currently $51,750 per year, according to the legislature.
The entire case has been delayed for quite a bit of time from the beginning because of 2 legislative sessions. That's already very unusual. For her to delay it till a 3rd session, I think would just not be a reasonable conclusion for her.
If she does not resign, she will likely face the Ethics Subcommittee once again, which would make a recommendation to the full Senate on expulsion. Meanwhile, Governor Walz's office says he expects she will resign from her seat in the legislature and that information about a special election will be shared soon.
A lot to track here.
Yeah, so not only should she resign, but she should be thrown in jail for what she did. Politicians are not above the law. It is time for the powerful, these privileged folks, these politicians. Yeah, it's time to start sending them to jail, right? Because let's be honest, a lot of them are crooks. Okay, she just got caught, right? Let's be real. Let's be real. And ultimately at the end of the day, I think that it's something that is probably in her best interest to go ahead and step down, right? To go ahead and do what she got to do, or be expelled immediately, okay? And these politicians should not be slow walking this. They should go ahead and do what they got to do if she doesn't resign immediately. She was found guilty. She should be resigning now, okay? But hey, we know that because of the fact that this would make the Senate even, that, Democrats, it's in their best interest to slow walk it, right? Until they can get somebody to fill that seat, okay? But, we will see what's going to happen here. All I know is that a lot of these politicians should start facing some accountability. They're not above the law. A lot of them are criminals, okay? She just happens to be one of the criminals that actually got caught, right? She was a little bit too sloppy in regards to committing her crimes. But again, regardless, she needs to go ahead and resign now or be expelled immediately. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.